you are back with the backers of GameNet Star League. We did in fact just see GoRush take the first game against Naura. I'm just going to quickly go through this game to point out, I believe, the minute that GoRush actually, that Naura fell far enough behind to make it near impossible for him to come back. Naura did actually play out that set really incredibly well. GoRush was very, very active on the map the whole way through, as you can see by the vision of or by the minimap, should I say. GoRush had vision absolutely everywhere on the map, and Naura found himself very, very pinned in the corner, or his corner of the map, which is somewhat surprising. It looks like this was it was this push that I think eventually led to the demise of GoRush, sadly. Of Naura in this game. He did do a lot of damage, but he didn't actually manage to kill the base, and he lost so many units that I think it made it near impossible for him to come back. But it was a very well played game by Naura, and it shows that Naura isn't going to go out of this without a fight. So it's now up to him in this upcoming second game to actually pull it back and move forward. So I'll just host up the next game and we'll get going. So yes, of course, we are moving into the second set of this game. That will be on Icarus, and using this set, this will decide whether GoRush will go 2-up in this set, or if Naura will actually manage to pull it back and make it 1-1 and take it to Gladiator with an even standing. Boxing yesterday did in fact go 3-0, so it'll be interesting to see if GoRush can follow his teammates' precedent and take 3-0 himself. He is of course a very confident player, as shown by his playstyle, and it's going to be very interesting to go from here. So I'm just going to throw up the intro again, and then we'll get going. Okay, so once again, both players, there they are, they're both ready. This is GoRush versus Naura. This is the second game of the best of 5, and this will be on Icarus, so let's get going. So, of course, your two players, here we do have in the top spawn, this will be SK Telecom T1's GoRush, who is the Zerg player of course, and down here in the 8 o'clock position, I guess, it's not quite 9 o'clock, maybe 8:30, we do have KT's Naura, who is the Protoss player in this PvZ. And GoRush, if you've just tuned in, did just take the first game to go up 1-0 in this set. It was a relatively interesting PvZ. He showed a very, very strong, he showed off his very strong CVP, which he's already shown off in this tournament so far. He showed it off once again, showing off some class that Naura couldn't actually live up to. So it's going to be up to Naura here to try and make a difference. GoRush once again getting incredibly lucky with his Overlord scouting pattern that will find Naura straight away This is a very interesting pylon placement by Naura, of course. Once again, this is a map that you do need to learn how to wall in. It's very different to pretty much every other map. Map design-wise, it's somewhat like Python, but ever so slightly different. There are bridges everywhere. But it looks like this time, not opting to go for an overpull, GoRush is going to take a more conservative approach and probably look to hatchery first, knowing that last game Naura didn't actually choose to do any form of aggressive opening, so he will actually scout the forge going up and the pylon, so he knows to either expect either a cannon rush, which isn't... I haven't actually seen a cannon rush so far in the 2 tournaments I've hosted, which has been SDPL and this, so the Protoss players aren't as eager to go for cannon rushes against Zerg as maybe they would be on ladder, so people taking these games very seriously. There have been some really incredible weird cheeses that we've seen so far, but there we go, I nearly forgot to throw up the overlay, but there we go. So as we can see by the overlay actually, hold on, let me just... Yeah, it looks like Protoss are actually 2-0 up against Zerg so far in this tournament on this map. So GoRush has his work cut up to him. There is actually a cannon rush, so forget everything I just said. GoRush is going to pull off drones to try and help defend against this. He needs to kill the probe, because while the probe is up, the cannons will keep coming. He does focus the cannon with 2 or 3 drones now, and he's going to pull more drones. He doesn't want to lose his natural 2 cannons. This cannon looks like it will go down to the might of the drone attack, and the probe will move away to try and come back another day. But that was a very risky play there by Naura, and sadly for him, it didn't actually pay off. And this actually opens him up to a counter-attack. He does only in fact have 1 cannon going up right now in his main, or his natural should I say, and well, choosing not to actually go for that option is GoRush. He's going to just drone up behind this, knowing he's a little bit further ahead than maybe he could have been, and it looks like he's once again going to try and take this 3rd base, but this probe could actually threaten this with cannons if he chose to. That would be a sort of interesting choice, knowing there's not actually any Zerglings out right now. He's now actually adding on Zerglings, so with only 2 Zerglings out on the map, there's not really anything GoRush can do to defend this base, and that's exactly what Naura's going to try and do. He's going to be cheeky, hide a pylon here behind the minerals, and try and get up a cannon before GoRush can actually do anything to defend against it, which is going to be incredibly annoying. But unlike on a 3-player map, there is actually another main that GoRush could take if he wanted to, but of course he's not really going to want to go for that option if he has the choice, so that's a lot further away to try and defend. 2 cannons go up. A really nice SimCity I would have thought would actually block the Lings, but it doesn't, sadly for Naura, and this lone Zergling is going to do what it can to try and take down these cannons. Even the probe goes down, so that's a very good pick off by GoRush, and the cannons look like they won't actually finish. This one could, and that might kill the Zergling, but he should be able to send some reinforcements here to help out. And behind this it looks like Naura isn't really very far ahead in tech or anything. He's just on 1 gateway, no upgrades, and he's just trying to probe now. And during this, GoRush is starting to add on more Zerglings. He has this Hydralisk den coming up with, I believe, range first instead of speed. So we could be seeing some form of 3-hatch Hydra bust here, knowing how far ahead he is. This cannon is so close to dying. That Zergling was very unlucky, but another Zergling should be able to move it and kill it. He'll need a few more though. There we go, the cannon does go down, and Naura will lose yet another pylon. And this is going to be bad for him, as it'll actually supply block him until the extra pylon finishes in his base, which is going up now. But with only 2 zealots to defend, and 1 cannon, Naura has actually put himself in a very bad position here by those 2 failed cannon rushes on both the bases. So a very nice defense by GoRush is actually going to set GoRush up now to, I believe, go into a 3-hatch Hydra bust, as he is adding Hydralisks on all of it. Well, not on this 3rd base. One is 2 main hatcheries. He's adding on Hydralisks and adding on his 4th hatchery as well. He does now have speed coming up, and this is going to be very strong, as Naura's tech, which has been severely hindered, only now finishing his Cybernex core and getting his Citadel up with his Stargate, is going to have a very hard time actually defending against this. He's going to need to start flooding cannons, but he has nothing to scout that this is coming. So Naura could find himself with a very quick defeat here if he's not careful. There aren't too many Hydralisks coming out right now, but they are slowly moving across the map. But with only 3 Zealots and 1 cannon to defend, probably 4 by the time the Hydralisks get there, he's going to have a very hard time actually dealing with it. He could even lose his first gateway here, which will be huge. And the Hydralisks do start attacking the wall. The cannons are not in range. And he most likely will lose these 2 buildings, because with good micro 4, Hydralisks should be able to take out this many Zealots. And Naura tries to do his best to try and surround the Hydralisk. He does manage to actually... Oh, the Hydralisk gets incredibly lucky. It manages to juke its way out of there, with the reinforcements coming in from the main and the natural of GoRush. He's going to move back and start pressuring the wall. More cannons are going up. But Naura finds himself in a position where he has to try and play from behind here once again. Although if this Hydralisk bust fails, it will actually put GoRush in a position where he doesn't really want to be, but this isn't all in, as he is adding on drones at his third base and most likely going to expand again. He's going to move up to try and snipe a cannon, but sadly can't do it. He's going to focus the gateway and the forge again, which is a very strong choice. There's only 5 Zealots out now, and there's not really anything he can do against this. Naura's adding on so many cannons, but if he loses this gateway, which is his one means of production, he's going to add another gateway in his base, another couple of gateways, to try and compensate. His Templar Archives does finish, but he won't be able to get any DTs out in time. His Corsairs will of course be able to scout, or start building, but that's all he's going to be able to build alongside cannons. And with an ever-increasing number of Hydralisks, in fact, this GoRush has decided this has been enough to do the damage he needs to do. He's going to go back, consolidate his forces, add a lot more drones on, and take this force base up here. GoRush is going to set himself into a very nice path into the mid and late game, or mid and later stages of this game. Of course, I would imagine 8 minutes is somewhat the mid game. At this point, the Corsair is out. It does actually take a lot of damage, doesn't get any kills. Good Hydralisk placement will actually defend against that. And once again, as you can see, GoRush is going to spread his units around absolutely everywhere to get as much map vision as he possibly can. So GoRush once again showing that he doesn't want to fail to any form of shenanigans, now starting to flood Hydralisks, and he's going to build a lair at his natural as well, to bolster the strength of that, to keep it alive against any form of... Oh, that's actually his first layer, I didn't even realise. I do apologise, but yeah, he's adding on his layer at his second natural, which will allow him to go into Spire Tech to get those ever important Scourge against the Corsairs. And also, as we can see here, Overlord, I do believe that's Overlord drops, and he will be able to add Overlord speed as well. So we could see, I mean, of course this is a very nice map to drop in. There's so much surface area. Maybe better to show it in GoRush's main. There's like so much area you can actually drop here. And he, as his Overlord's already spread, he's not going to have a very difficult time actually getting them over there. So GoRush once again setting himself into a nice position. Naura is going to slowly try and... he's adding more and more gateways on to try and catch up with the unit production he sadly lost before with the loss of his only gateway. And he will start adding on more and more Corsairs. So Naura is doing the right things he needs to do. He did successfully defend against the early Hydralisk bust attempt, and he now has Storm out, which is... or he will have Storm. I believe it must be finished at this point. So any consequent attacks are going to be a little bit harder to do, but it looks like GoRush is going to move in. There's only Zealots and High Templars to actually defend against this. He may even be able to get this probe before he can go and get that third base, which is a very nice pickup. And after getting that probe, he's going to run away. Very good star sense, I'd believe, to actually go look for that probe, knowing that it was leaving the base. And he's going to go and chase around the Corsairs now with his Hydralisks. One or two Overlords just went down there at his second natural base, or I mean I guess this is almost his main at this point, but he's just adding on more and more defense, cementing his position in the game. He's juking and driving in the middle with this Hydralisk. The Zealot force is going to move out. They're going to... oh, it looks like Naura's going to try and do a little bit of damage over here again, seeing that there wasn't too much defense back there. But he's going to be in for a nasty surprise when he actually gets to the base. Lurkers should be nearly finished now, and he is going to start morphing them soon, I would imagine. But there are Corsairs and Zealots. There's not the High Templar are actually in a very bad position here. These Hydralisks could actually snipe the High Templar. A probe is going to move across with this. I'm not sure what purpose the probe has, but the Zealots do move back, and luckily almost cuddle the High Templar to keep them safe against the Hydralis attacks. And the small Hydralis force actually left in the middle of the map isn't really going to be able to do much. He's actually opting to sort of pull Naura's army away from his natural by feigning pressure every few minutes or every few seconds, and it looks like seeing the defense at the bottom natural is forcing Naura to move up to the top natural, but there's even more units and Sunkens up here, which is going to be very hard for him to break. He does move up with the Zealots, and he's going to try and focus on these Sunkens and the Hydralisks. The Overlords actually clump up completely, trying to run away from the Corsairs, so the Corsairs are going to get a lot of Overlord kills. And these Zealots could actually snipe this Hydralisk down if GoRush isn't careful, but with a huge number of Hydralisks moving up from the bottom, they're going to save the rest of the Overlords. All the Corsairs will go down, and at the moment GoRush is struggling to defend on two fronts. He's defending against the Corsairs in one place, defending against the Zealots and the High Templar in another. He does get another flood of Hydralisks out, which will help him clean up this Zealot force, but sadly for Naura, all he's really done is kill drones and Sunkens. He's not actually killed any major tech buildings. Like this Hydralisk jump would be a very good pick-off, as that is in fact what GoRush is choosing to be his main component in his army. And slowly but surely these Zealots are losing shields. They're doing a lot of damage to the Hydralisk. Another Hydralisk goes down, another two will go down, and it looks like these 5 hero Zealots are going to kill so many Hydralisks on their bid to die. The Hydralisk then is saved, and another group of Hydralisks will come out to defend against these Zealots. Sadly, the poor hero Zealots will get their purple hearts, and their families will have to be informed of their deaths. But the Corsairs have done their weight in gold against all these Overlords, and GoRush finds himself down in supply right now. Both of them actually quite low on supply. Naura with a big supply advantage now, where GoRush lost so many units in that defense and even drones. But this this large amount of Zerglings are going to try and break up this ramp with Zealots and Archons, so they should be able to get up there. The Archon up to 3 kills already, so the Archon doing its work definitely to defend that ramp is going to mean that Naura is just going to have to go back on the defensive after losing the main bulk of his units. Of course, he did do a heck of a lot of damage, so it does put him in a very nice position. GoRush hasn't been able to get his 5th base yet, which is something he really wants to do, actually opting to transfer drones all the way from his 2nd natural and main back to his old natural rather than building drones up here, which is somewhat of an odd choice, although it looks like it's just a rally point thing. He does have 5 drones there waiting to move. The Zealots, Archons, and a single High Templar are going to try and move across the map to do a little bit more damage, while he does have the unit count of GoRush low. GoRush actually somewhat further down in units than he probably wants to be at this stage in the game. May have a little bit of trouble defending against this, but he does have a lot of Zerglings, which will come in for a very nice surround. The Sunkens have started to finish again, and the Hydralisks are in a very good place to defend against the Zealots alone due to the Sim-C. And it looks like the Zerglings try and move in. They do take out one of the Archons, but the other Archon has killed so many Zerglings now, and the Zealots do retreat against these 3 Sunkens and the Hydralisks. And now comes the Lurkers. The Lurkers going to move in, and it's going to be very difficult for Naura to actually push in without a large number of Storms or Dragoons. So right now, Naura in a very, very decent position in the middle of the map, but if he can't get some damage done soon, he's going to find it very difficult to actually deal with the army that GoRush is going to have. I don't actually believe he has the observatory done yet, so he won't actually have any detection to deal with the oh yeah, there we go, the observatory is done, so at least he will actually have observers, but there's none up here, so he's not actually going to be able to deal with the actual Lurkers right now, so he's going to have to build an observer, move it up quickly if he wants to actually do any damage up here. Of course there is the option of going to this base, but GoRush, being sensible, has Lurkers spread across both bases, so it's going to be very hard for Naura to actually get any damage done. He's sitting on the map with his large army, but he's not really able to get much done with it, and it looks like that upgrade before must have been Overlord speed. I'm gonna have to school myself on PvZ in future, as there will be a lot of PvZ coming up in the tournament, hopefully. Obviously not this tournament, as the final will be a TVP or a TVZ, but hopefully if Shinhan Tank Pro League lasts for a little bit longer, or a lot longer, there will be a lot of PvZs over time. It looks like GoRush is going to send his lings down here to try and cut off this base. He's going to catch these 2 probes again, which we're going to try and build a base, and that's a very, very bad situation for Naura to be in. He needs to get his 4th base, and if he can get his 4th base, it will like allow him to get a little bit further ahead than he is. But without the proper unit composition and the observers to actually push into the base of GoRush, he's sort of sitting here trying to set up a contain. But against Zerg on this map, due to the architecture of the middle of the map, he's actually going to find it very difficult. And these lings are blocking these poor dragoons from getting up the ramp, so a very nice move by GoRush to continue trying to block the space, and the Zerglings will come in behind and actually trap the dragoons in. Some very nice positioning has made the dragoons last a little bit longer than they possibly could have done. All the dragoons and the Zealot will go down, and this will prompt Naura to move across the map towards the base of GoRush, so he's going to try and get some more damage on here, but I can't see an observer again. There we go, there's his observer, and that's his ticket to push into this base. But until he gets his observer there, he's not going to be able to do any damage. And if GoRush can actually snipe this, which it doesn't look like he's going to get the chance to do, due to some very good movement by Naura, Naura's going to push, but more lings and lurkers are actually finishing up here, and there's a lot of sunkens. So this is a very nice hold by GoRush currently. Naura's going to continue to try and force his way through, but with so many lings coming out, it's making it impossible for the Zealots to actually get out to the sunkens, which they really do need to kill. But some nice storms go down, or a nice storm goes down on the drone line, 2 of them in fact, but that one doesn't kill as many as it possibly could have done if it had been a little bit more centralized. And Hive is nearly finished, and the last remaining units of Naura in this push have actually died without doing too much damage. The reinforcements are going to move over now, and they're going to be caught out by the reinforcements of GoRush, which are moving down, and they're going to be stuck between a wall of lurkers and a wall of units if they don't move back quickly. There's not enough Protoss units here to do any damage, so he needs to pull back in time, or these lurkers and lings are just going to surround and kill what he has. Of course, there is an observer, so the lurkers aren't going to be as effective, but there just isn't enough of a meat shield for these units, and there's units coming from every direction. Although these are overlords, so that's actually quite beneficial to Naura, because he doesn't have to worry about us around right about now. He's going to do what he can to try and micro back, and he kills a lot of the lings. But of course the lurkers are still alive, and the ling force down here has denied the base long enough for Naura to actually call GG. He did lose his entire army there, and he would have been in a very sticky situation to come back. He was far from out of it, but he does decide to leave game 2, which will put GoRush up 2-0 in this series. Once again, a very close game, but sadly for Naura, it didn't work out for him. He played really well again, and he'll have to see if he can make the 3-2 comeback with this next game coming up on Gladiator.